It's Richie Rich back yet again. The importance of traveling. Be sure to check this out.
With bumpy wildin' out in two twin Porsches. I'm in a GS spinning with dual exhausts. In the brain hydroplaning trying to be so cautious. Under the hood screaming, you can hear the horses. I got the mini mansion, the pools in the house. While you at your mama's crib on the pull-out couch. I got 8-1 consignment, you couldn't get it out. Your credit's all shot, you couldn't get it back. The wrist all lit up, the fingers is clustered. You a bad
The Switzerland and the Canada thing, you know, I spent like I spent like a good period in a good time in Sierra Leone, Africa. I think I even got my card. I got one of my like bank cards. But I spent a while in Sierra Leone from the years of 2016 and 2018. In Sierra Leone, it's like I witnessed like how the corruption is like firsthand. You know, again, beautiful place. When you go to Africa, especially for any African descent, to go there is a very enlightening experience. You know what I mean? I encourage any African to go there, but especially when I was going there as a kid, similar like I was going to States to go there as adults, I could see the corruption there firsthand. You know, and you know, if we're dealing with like situation, you know, you know, I don't want to get into it, but like dealing with like that village girl there, just being there and having to like always be on my guard, you know, because that was one difference, you know, from like, you know, going Canada and Switzerland. I always felt good, like I could just go, you know, about my business and just walk, you know, no one's gonna bother me. When I was in Africa, it just always felt like I was a target. They could smell that you weren't one of them. You know, and when they could smell you, it's just that the time your guard is down, you're fucked. You know, so I had to kind of get my rich team in Sierra Leone, West Africa, you know, and even when I was in Gambia, not Gambia, when I was in like the Morocco, like passing through Liberia, you know, I just really experienced the corruption. So, you know, the Africa trips were the most difficult ones, you know what I mean? Because it's like you would go there to relax, but the stress from more of the people would mess you up. Because as a whole, like Africa, as I said, it's like it can be paradise if you allow it. But the people there, again, it's like an animal mentality. You know, so if they see you, you know, in the Sierra Leone, they call you like a JC, like a just come, someone is going to get their money. They will try to rinse you out till you're done, and then they'll just throw you down like a sewer. Legit. You know, I heard the most like terrifying stories of guys coming from the States, coming from Canada, coming from Europe, who would land at the Lungay airport and they would just take the wrong turn and they'd get ambushed or get kidnapped or get, you know, ransomed. You know what I mean? And it's very terrifying, you know, when it's like, you know, you just want to kind of escape from Europe and then you come to Africa. And, you know, I even spoke about this, you know, when I said on like the other video of like, you know, like a lot of the Africans, like they will have like their house or they'll have their you know, so-called business, but most of the time they'll be in like the white man's, you know, concepts. They'll be in Europe, they'll be in Canada, they'll be in America, you know, because they know good and well if you stay in Africa too long, it will torment you, you know, just because of like the everyday interactions of people, how like you can never be alone, you know, you can never be safe. Just like I'm just gonna build this house in the forest somewhere, you know, you don't know what motherfucking creatures or people who are gonna wait to just jump you when you're not guarded, you know. So, you know, it was a very like tough experience, but I'm just glad to say that Richie Rich is A-okay. The Africa trip, as I said, going from like, you know, going to the States, I even forgot to mention, you know, I spent some time in Paris, you know, the same year I went to the States, you know, so I was in like the capital of France, you know. But going from like Canada to like, you know, Sierra Leone, West Africa, it was such an extreme situation where I would just say, like, when people are going to Africa, they just need to be prepared. You know what I mean? I you know, I remember like one of the like last times I went, I carried like 4 chargers, you know, portable chargers, just because, like, you know, if my phone runs out, it's not like you're gonna go to a store and you're gonna be like, oh, can I just, you know, charge my phone? They're not like, you know. they got like a generator they use for electricity. So it is a completely, it's like a prehistoric world when you're going there, you know. But like I knew like if I could survive in Africa, you know, I could survive anywhere, you know what I mean? Because the Africa experience, as I said, like you know, I think what helped was I was already going there as a kid, and I had these solo travels like Canada, Switzerland, you know, even like some various parts in Europe. You know, I went to Scotland. You know, don't want to know. You don't want to know about that. You know, that's like a Patreon video. But like that kind of got me ready for like going to Africa. Once I was done with my, you know, things like my stint in Africa, you know, the idea, as I said, and I talked about this reflection, was like, you know, going to the States or Canada, just you know, trying to migrate over there. And where it was nice was because I had already done this solo travel, I was so comfortable going to like Miami, you know, when I went in 2019. Then like after 3 months after going to Canada like by myself, it's like I already knew the protocol. I'm like, I ain't waiting for nobody. I don't need to wait for my siblings to be like, oh yeah, let's go Canada. No. I know how to book a ticket. You know, I know how to, you know, book you know, where I'm staying. You know, I get in contact with people. I know how to do all of that, and it just makes you very more independent when you do this solo travel. You know, and you know, when I was in you know, Florida, you know, that was again, you know, after spending those times in Africa and just coming to Florida, it was like you know, and I actually went to Disney. There's Disney Springs, just close to Disneyland. But like the experience was like, you know, someone possibly going to Disneyland or seeing a Disney movie for the first time. It's just this like, you know, palace of like, you know, so like jubilance, or like, you know, like a fairy tale. You know, when I was in Florida, and you know, for someone again who was like, you know, stuck in these dead end jobs, you know, like before I went to Florida, I was in Skechers, you know, so like to sometimes go there, you sometimes don't believe you can make it until you actually get there. And you know, going there and like you know, meeting these like you know, meeting the people, because like Orlando and Miami and Atlanta, which I passed in the circuit, you know, so down south, you know, so it's completely opposed to when I was in the East Coast, you know, DC, New York, Virginia, you know. So, and that's where another thing, like I said, the importance of traveling, like the networking, the amount of like-minded people you can meet when you just step outside this comfort zone is astronomical. You know what I mean? It's crazy. Like even in Mexico, where I'm now, you know, some of the trainers that I met, and I found out like they spend time like in the States, you know, which was close to where I was, you know, or when they were in the States. I was in Canada at the same time, you know, before all this like, you know, crazy 2020 year, you know. So like like just the networking of like meeting just different people, you know, absorbing like the, you know, knowledge, you know what I mean. Like one of the things you will definitely like gain from like traveling, especially like solo, is like you know, for instance, like I'm in, you know, CDMX now. Like I've been here. This is now coming up to my 6th week. You know, I have like this whole area I'm in Polanco memorized. You know, when I'm going out, I know where the gym is. I know where the supermarket is. I know where the plaza is. I know where my place to get the rich fade. You know, my haircut. You know, I know that. Even as I'm here, I still know if I go back to Toronto, Canada, I know my area in Etoboke. I'm saying, I know my area in Etoboke. I know where the York University is. I know, you know, the downtown. You know, I know that. I know the layout. You know, similar. Even if I go back to Sierra Leone, you know, Freetown. I know Tom. I know Wilkinson Street. You know, so all these kind of solo journeys and that, because of your experience of staying there, you're gonna get way more knowledge. You know, of like you know, these areas. So if you had to go there, if like all else fails and you had to go there, you've got no problem going settling in. You know, and that's best like from the people who have like, again, like, you know. So I would honestly say, man, like you know, anyone who is like in a continent should make they should definitely make an attempt to journey out of there. You know, I think another importance, you know, traveling is, I believe you will just be open-minded. You know, I think naturally I'm already an open-minded kind of guy. But like once I come to a place like Mexico, I've got no problem learning not only the language but learning the culture, not just to fit in, but just to kind of respect where I am. You know what I mean? Because being in, as I moved on to CDMX, this place has tremendous respect. You know, it's something I didn't see when I was in Sierra Leone or even the other West African countries. You know, in West Africa, you could find just a normal guy just coming in like maybe 5 yards in front of you and just go piss on the street. Or we could be on the beach in like Lonely Beach. If you've seen videos when I was interviewing people there, they could just go piss on the beach in front of everyone. You know, and I'm like, man, have some respect. I know this place financially is not the best, but respect your place. You know what I mean? And it's like once I'm in here, I just see the respect and the care. You know, go open up in the morning, go downstairs to OXXO, shout out, you know, and just the care of like everyone's like sweeping the street. There's not a single piece of trash like on the street or dog turd, you know. So when you see that, the way they take care of the place here, it means like, man, if they can take care of it, it means they respect it, and I respect them for doing that, especially from someone who's abroad to see that. You know what I mean? Kind of like the rundown of like why I think it's important to travel. You know, especially if you can try. As I said, if you can go with your like, you know, friends, it has to be someone I think who is kind of open-minded like you. You know what I mean? Because I saw this a lot in like, you know, London, UK. A lot of these lot would go to like Croatia, or they would go to like you know, these festivals in, you know, Spain, you know, all these ones, but they would go like 10 of them, you know. And I feel like when you go there, it's taking away the kind of challenge of like you learning something new because you're by yourself, you know. Whereas you by yourself, you know. Whereas, you know, if you're within that group, you know, most of these like groups is like guys they've known from like a kindergarten. You know, they're never gonna be like. It's like when I came to Mexico, like I think the second day, I walked straight to the grocery stores. I was speaking to just some of the you know, policias, and I just said, "Where's the grocery store?" You know what I mean? And it took a while, and I was able to kind of find it. But if you're traveling in groups, you're never gonna do that. You're always gonna be just comfortable, like, okay, you know, if we will probably just order like the food, or we will go there as a group, you know. And I just don't feel as a man, you will not, even if you're a woman, you know, you won't really grow, you know, grow and just step, you know, just going into these grow unless you kind of journey like by yourself, you know. So that's what I recommend, you know. Like I said, you know, since like 2012, you know, even like 2011, you know, because I was leaving different parts of like London, England, you know, to journey around the UK. You know, I just think if you can travel by yourself, man, it's like a real like badge of honor, you know. And it will really help you when you get to like, you know, late 20s, early 30s, when you're about them times when you're about to start that family. You know, you'll be so knowledgeable opposed to the ones who just stay in that same you know, dreaded like comfort zone. You know what I mean? It will definitely like boost your skills. And you know, run it down, like the importance of traveling, like I said, it will boost your knowledge, you know, like of, you know, learning just like, you know, different like vast amounts of information of like the setting that you are in, you know what I mean, of the whereabouts, you know, what to do, you know, if this so happens, you know, your knowledge. I believe you will become very like adaptable, you understand, like I know what kind of works here would be very different to oppose when I was in Canada or America or in Africa, you know what I mean. So it's like I know how to adapt, you know. If I'm taking a flight to Sierra Leone, I know it's going to be completely different when I'm coming to like, let's say, Mexico, where I go back to, you know, Canada, you know. So you'll be very adaptable, you know. Number 3, I just feel like you just have this strong kind of especially if you're a solo one, you just be kind of very enlightened, you know what I mean, like very enlightened. Like you will learn this stuff and you just be like, wow, I didn't know this, you know. I never seen a pyramid before, you know. I've never been to Egypt. When I went to Teotihuacan, I hope I said that right, when I saw these temples and I saw this, I was like, man, this is something you would never see in United Kingdom, you know what I mean? So you just be like, wow, and you just be more appreciative, you know what I mean, of like, I'm so glad I'm like, you know, breathing this fresh air and I'm seeing this pyramid. So you just be appreciative. And I just think another thing, you just be open-minded to like the culture, you know, when I've come here. And it's like, you know, I remember I was with my amigos and we saw the mariachi singers, you know, and they were singing for the señorita, you know what I mean? Or it's like I was playing like the instruments with like a musical group, you know. It's like I just like love the culture, you know what I mean? It's open-mindedness. And I just think as well, this is where it ties onto this, you know. Anyone who has traveled like the world, especially solo by themselves, you know, me, black guy from like the lowest point, you know, 4 years ago, you know what I mean, 2017, you know what I mean, was nearly about to be, you know, finito, but it's like I was able to rise up. So to come from there to come now, it's like, you know, where I said like, you know, some people, you know, with like, you know, racism being such a big thing, especially when you see the States, I think like a lot of those guys, you know, those police officers especially, who have that racist bone in their bodies because they've never taken time to see a different side of life, you know, like seeing the Mexicanos, seeing the Africans, you know, seeing my guys in Canada and seeing my people in America, in Switzerland. When you've seen all these different like different races and their different experiences, you kind of know how it works. Whereas I think, especially a lot of them in the States who have been born there, their great-great-granddads have been born there, just generations, they've never really explored. So if their, you know, forefathers have said, oh, these are how black people like, they're not going to be smart enough to make their own decision because they've never ever gone outside the zone to go look for themselves. You know, to me, like a black person in like Asia and be like, okay, let me make my own judgment call. You know what I mean? So I definitely think like where a lot of like the racial issues have been there, because a lot of these are not traveling, you know, even again, and that's where I said the solo travel is important, you know, because you can travel with your guys and have a drink and that, but it's very important. Like I got now, seeing as I'm here in Mexico, I got the aspirations now to go to Asia. You know, I've always wanted to go to Tokyo, you know, or China, because I'm a big like Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee fan, you know. So now, especially with me now, you know, number one is the confidence I've got now. I know I can go there, just like I've adapted here in Mexico, just like I've adapted in Canada, just like I adapted in, you know, Africa. I know I can do that same thing once I go to Asia. You know what I mean? Because Richie Rich and the Rich Team does not have a racist bone in our bodies. So yes, so folks, and that's my kind of like 5 kind of elements that you can gain when you're traveling, especially by yourself. You know, as I try to do that, you know, but what I would say is anyone who has, you know, traveled alone or is currently traveling, you know, by themselves, you know, across the world, please, you know, message me, you know, because I definitely want to learn someone's experience, you know, going to Asia, because that's my next stop once I've done my time in South America, you know, Mexico, you know, coming the Latin, you know, world, I will make my way to Asia. And so yeah, please drop a message on my message, drop in the comment section, or you know, message me on my social media, my Facebook, my Instagram, you know, my Twitter and that. So yeah, stay tuned for more upcoming videos like this, which trust me will be coming very, very soon. And always remember,